Hi everyone, hope you all are well. I'm starting off as usual with a primer. I'm using the MAC Painterly Paint Pot today to prep the lids. This is a product that is tinted so it hides any discoloration on the lids and it gives us a nice blank canvas to start out on. It's a tacky base product, so you do need to go in and set it before you apply any of your powder shadows, or else they'll crease up on you throughout the day or you'll just have problems with blending the shadows. So I'm going to then use a translucent powder from Essence, nothing fancy, and I'm dusting this anywhere that I applied that base just to set it down for the day. I'm going to go and use the Colourpop palette, that's Taupe Eyeshadow palette for today's look, and the first shade I'm taking is called Boa, and I'm using this on a crease brush from Coastal Scents, and I'm just blending that in the hollow of the crease and fading it upwards towards the brow and then outwards towards the tail of the brow, just to help elongate the eyes. And this is just a really nice transition shade that starts the look off nicely. I'm then going in with that same shadow on a pencil brush. This is from Blank Canvas Cosmetics, and I'm dusting that same shadow all the way down along the lower lash line, making sure to connect it up on the outer edge as well. I'm then taking the shadow Pebble Beach on a smaller blending brush. This is the Sedona Lace EB09 tapered blending brush. This will allow me to get nice and deep into that crease. I can be more precise with my application and blending with a brush like this. So I've just tapped that down on the outer corner of the eye, and then I've taken it into the crease, nice and deep, just below that shade that I applied previously. And I'm using this shadow now to add just a bit more depth. Like before, I'm taking that pencil brush once again and I'm blending that same shadow all the way down along the lower lash line, making sure to connect it up on that outer edge. Next, I'm going to take the shade Python on that same brush, and what I'm going to do then is I'm going to gradually tap and sweep this shadow all the way across the eyelid. Now, you could of course use a flat shader brush. That'll allow you to pack on more of the eyeshadow at a time. It'll give you a more intense pigmentation, but I'm just going to use the same brush just to quicken up the process, and I'm just going to add a couple of layers until I get the intensity that I want. And then I'm also going to make sure that I blend that up into the crease, right into those shades that we applied previously. Then I'm going to move back to that pencil brush with a little more of that shadow on it, and I'm going to dust this down along the lower lash line, same process as before, keeping it a little bit closer to the lash line, really smoking it out then and making sure it connects up on that outer edge. If you feel you've got a little bit of a harsh line, just take a clean, small blending brush and just dust around the perimeters of the eyeshadow, and this will just soften everything up. And then if you feel that you've lost a little bit of the intensity of the shadows, or you've gone a little bit overboard, blended it down too far, just pick up a little bit of that transition shade, the one that we first used, Boa, and just go back in and reapply. I'm taking the shadow then Rock Steady, which is another nice deep cool toned colour, and I'm using this to add some further depth. I'm taking it on that Sedona Lace Universal Blending Brush once again, starting by tapping it down on the outer third, then I'm pulling it outwards in an angle up to the crease, and then finally sweeping it across the crease. So this shadow is just going into that outer V, and I'm just making sure to give it a really nice blend. I'm picking up a little bit more of that shade Rock Steady and I'm sweeping it down along the lower lash line, shock horror, and I'm just applying it on the outer third mainly and then just blending the remainder across. Finally then I'm taking the deepest tone in the palette, it's called Bedrock, and I'm applying this with the use of a small flat shader brush from Sedona Lace. I'm tapping and sweeping this shadow from the lash bed on that outer third of the eye right up to the crease. And I'm just going to gradually add a couple of layers of this shadow just to build up the intensity. You don't really need to take it past the crease because of all the work that we have done earlier on. We've got a nice gradient from dark to light anyway. Now, this step isn't really necessary, but I like to make sure that everything is really nice and soft and blended and everything just merges in together nicely. So I'm using that brush just once again with no product on it, to go over all the edges, make sure everything is nice and soft. Then I'm taking an angled brush from Sedona Lace with a little bit more of that Bedrock shade, and I'm applying this into the roots of the lashes. I've already now applied some false lashes. These are the Sosu Gigi lashes, and I'm using a Colourpop nude liner to line my waterline. Finally, for shadow then, I'm taking the shade Slated on another just small pencil brush. I've spritzed the brush with a little bit of setting spray to make that shadow pop, and I'm highlighting around the tear duct of the eye. I'm then using the push-up lashes from Charlotte Tilbury, the mascara, just to blend my own lashes in with the false ones, taking it just on the bottom lashes on that outer edge, and that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you found it helpful and easy to follow. If you did, please do let me know. Thanks so much for all the support on my last video. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being so patient, and I'll catch you all really soon.